Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Couples Academy Show. My name is Asani. It's good to have each and every one of you here this morning. We're going to dive right into our conversation for today. Over the last couple months, we've been getting phone calls from a variety of different individuals who are seeking to save their marriage. And then they begin to start the process and they fall into this space of ambiguity. And so we're talking about ambivalence. Should I stay? Should I stray? Or should I just go away? These are the complexities that people deal with every single day because they're vacillating back and forth. They're dealing with the pain of the loss of their relationship as they knew it. They're dealing with the fact that their spouse, who they thought they knew, did something that is considered to be devastating. It was like the carpet was pulled from up under them. They were sideswiped. They just don't know what to do. And so in their attempt to figure it out, they vacillate back and forth. And so just to give a comprehensive definition of what ambivalence actually means, it is having or showing simultaneous and contradictory attitudes or feelings towards something or someone. And so the reality is all of us are triune beings, spirit, soul, and body. But there's a similar concept called the quadrinity identity. The quadrinity meaning four, there are four aspects of ourselves. There is our spiritual self, our emotional self, our intellectual self, and our physical self. And as we're pondering the question, do I stay or do I go? Our spirit is saying one thing, but our emotions are saying something completely different. Our intellect leads us in one direction, but our physical body, we're experiencing things that gives us messages and indications and signs that maybe we should do this. And when we hear and pay attention to these messages, oftentimes they're in conflict with one another. One is pulling me in this direction, the other one is pulling me in that direction. And because I'm going back and forth, I just don't know what to do. And so what I do ultimately is nothing. I'm stuck. And so the goal is to help you get unstuck and on a journey to your healing and potential marital restoration. And so this ambivalence feeling is very common and typical during the discovery phase. So from the day that you discover the affair until the time that you get help, and oftentimes beyond. There have been people who have been in counseling for several days, several weeks, dare I say several months, and they're still stuck, not knowing what to do. The relationship, the marriage as we know it, is kind of like a carrot that's dangling in front of us, and we're trying to determine if we want it. And so even though our actions indicate that we are committed, we are non-committal in our minds and in our hearts. And there's things that pull us in different directions. There's things that make us frustrated about the reality that we face. And so a lot of times people feel like, well, if I move forward with you, I'm somehow depriving myself. I'm somehow abandoning and rejecting myself. And so because I love me, I can't love you. Because I want a healthy relationship, I can't choose to be in the relationship as it currently is with you for fear that it'll never get back to the place it once was. And so this whole notion of do I stay really is on the hearts and minds of many people. But there are some people who have a knee-jerk reaction to do what? To stray. Well, you did it to me, I'm going to do it to you. If you only knew the pain that I was in, and because I'm in this level of pain and you can't seem to understand it, I don't seem to get remorse, I don't seem to get what I'm looking for from you, empathy, compassion, I'm going to do to you what you did to me so that you could feel what it is that I'm going through. So straying is an option. Some would say, well, you forced us into an open marriage. And guess what? Now I'm going all in. So don't be mad when you see me dating. Don't be mad when you see me taking phone calls or answering text messages. I'm going to do in public. I'm going to do openly what you did privately. And so these are the places that people find themselves in. There's conversations that people have all the time about this idea of a hall pass. You know what? If you just give me a pass. Matter of fact, interestingly enough, sometimes the betrayed spouse asks for a hall pass, but because the former unfaithful spouse is in a tremendous amount of guilt and shame, he or she will volunteer a hall pass. You know what? I know I heard you, babe. Listen, go on out there, do what you do it one time. It evens the score. It'll make you feel better. It'll take away the pain, and then we can start from scratch. Do you see the thinking of people? Do you see the lengths that people will go to try to fix what's broken and heal what's hurting? And oftentimes it does not work. And so the third option is, you know what? Why don't I just take my ball and go? Like, I've been through this for way too long. This hasn't been serving me. I haven't been happy in a long time. And so I just think I'm going to leave. Now, maybe it's not the right time to leave, but I'm telling you, I'm packing my bags, I'm planning my agenda, and I'm out. It's just a matter of time. And so these are the three options that we have. And we want to talk about the pros and cons of each of them. Because what happens is people are thinking these thoughts. What are the advantages of staying or going? What are the advantages of straying? What are the advantages and the pitfalls of just going away? And we want to talk about that. So let's talk about this whole idea of staying. Some people either have a knee-jerk reaction to stay because they're committed to marriage. They're committed to commitment. And so regardless of what has happened, because of their faith tradition, because of their historical family upbringing, there are a number of different factors. You know, leaving is definitely not an option, but there are those who struggle with it, and it is a viable option. And I want to take you into the mind of the betrayed spouse by sharing with you some of the things that they consider first on why they should stay. Number one, some of the cons of staying. You know, should I stay? Well, some of the cons of staying, if I stay in this relationship, what I'm going to be dealing with? I'm going to be dealing with trust issues because I can't trust who you are, because I never believed that you would do what it is that you did. And it wasn't just about the incident within itself, but all of the lying, all of the covering up, all of the secrecy that had to go along with keeping the secret for so long. So not only do I not trust this, what we have, I don't trust you. And guess what? Truth be told, I'm starting to question whether I can even trust myself, because for me to not have known this, for this to have gone on for so long and not have trusted my intuition, not have trusted that feeling that I had, that thought that I thought, right? To not trust that, or the fact that I was clueless, right? I was completely clueless. This caught me off guard. And what is it about me that I can't trust myself to be able to perceive? And so trust works multiple ways. And so the idea of me being stuck in a permanent relationship with someone where there is no trust is too hard. That's one of the cons of staying. Then there's the emotional pain. Like, if I think about the pain that I'm going through as a result of what has happened, I don't know if I'll ever be able to heal from this. In fact, I don't know if I can ever open up again. I don't know if I can ever be vulnerable again, because there's a fear that either the pain will not go away, or there's a fear that once I do heal, right, and I forgive you and move forward, you'll do something to reenact that pain. And so the pain that I'm currently in makes it very, confusing as to whether I should stay or go. The third thing, the fear of reoccurrence, right? Well, you've done it once. And so a lot of times people will make these allegiances, they'll make these declarations, they'll make these affirmations about what they will and will not do. And so the reality is, it's hard for you to believe what they say. They say it with such conviction, but what evidence do they have to show that they'll never do it again if they've done it for so long? So even though people do heal, change, transform, and never go back to past behaviors, and there's many indications of that, I just don't know. I'm just not sure. And guess what? If it happened once, it could happen again. So my fear of constant reoccurrence, my fear that you will do it again, is here. And that's what may keep me from staying. And then the last thing is, there's oftentimes this pressure to confront. Like a lot of times people go through the pain of betrayal, but because they don't have healthy communication patterns, because they don't know how to properly manage and deal with their emotions, they don't confront the situation. There are many people who are passive aggressive. There are many people who will just allow things to happen. They know it happened, but they don't take the time to go deep dive. They don't do the necessary counseling. They just want to push it off. They just want to move forward. They don't want to deal with it. In essence, they want to stick their head in the sand and pray and hope that it goes away, though it does not. And so because of their inability to effectively confront the situation, that pain, that struggle, that disconnect will remain within that relationship. And because of these reasons, you know what? I don't think that I can stay in this. So this is what oftentimes will push people in a direction of leaving. And so either threats are made, either attempts are made, or actual steps towards leaving are actually done. Now, whether they do so or not, at least it feels like they're serious about leaving. But I want you to consider some of the possibilities of what can happen if you stay, right? There are positive possibilities. Number one, healing. If I was unfaithful to you and you chose to stay, it is my responsibility to help contribute to your healing. Yes, there's a role that you play. Yes, there's some heavy lifting that you have to do, but it is my responsibility that if I cause you this pain, give me the opportunity, give me the time, the space, and the grace to fix it, to make it right, and to heal. Because the fact of the matter is, we've worked with over 1,000 couples over the last decade, and what we know for sure is that there are many couples who have better relationships after the discovery of the affair than what they had previous to the discovery of the affair, because the foundation wasn't right all along. There were challenges and struggles that they never really dealt with and resolved all along. And it wasn't until the affair happened that it put a spotlight on the relationship. And in order to restore the relationship, it requires doing the necessary work, building a healthy foundation, and unpacking all of the issues that went unaddressed. And so we find that people have better communication. Their level of intimacy, both emotional, intellectual, and sexual, enhances their ability to trust and forgive because they're going through a comprehensive process of healing. That is how they're able to get to a better place and have a healed relationship. But it requires that you go to the right ones, seeking the right advice, and doing the necessary work to bring you to a better place. The other reason why you want to stay, it creates financial stability. Now, when a marriage is broken, it can break a family. It can break the very foundation of the structure of that family. And so when you have children who are involved in that family unit, their lives are forever changed and impacted by the divorce of their parents. And so working towards a healed, whole relationship really helps to protect the foundation of the family unit. Number three, it's not so easy to leave because there's a shared history that you have with your spouse. You know, when you've been together for 10, 15, 20 years, all of that goes away with a divorce. And so the history that you have with this one person, it's difficult to establish and have with a new person. You see, walking away from a spouse is almost like cutting off a limb, leaving it on the ground, and walking away from it. You've become one. Right, there's a oneness that has taken place over those many years. And to separate yourself from that person could be more devastating and painful. So what it does is it helps to protect the shared history that you have with that person. We're talking about reasons to stay. And another reason to stay, it will ensure your personal growth. See, one of the things are, if the relationship is going to go back to being what it should be, it's going to require your commitment to personal growth and development. Okay? Constant and never-ending improvement. This is why we say that the key to your marital restoration is your personal transformation. That the relationship will never get better if I don't. But as I heal, as I become the best version of myself, it will have a tremendous impact on the marriage. So personal growth is guaranteed when you make a commitment to working on the relationship if you choose to stay. We're talking about ambivalence and how some people stay, some people think about straying, some people think about just getting away. Listen, you're watching the Couples Academy show. We'll be right back after this quick break. Stay right there. All right, guys, we're back. You're watching the Couples Academy show. Let me see what's going on here. Oh, there we go. We're back. You're watching the Couples Academy show. We're talking about ambivalence. Should I stay? Should I stray? Or should I just go away? I just want to go to some of the comments. Thank you all for wishing me a happy birthday. I appreciate you for remembering that. You are members of the family. So good morning to all of you for being here. A couple comments I want to go to. Good morning. Long time no see. I've been on my healing journey since my split with my husband. It's been 3 years. We tried being friends, but my husband doesn't want anything to do with me. So I've just been working on myself. Did I mention we're not divorcing? Well, number one, congratulations on making the decision not to divorce. And it seems that right now you may not be in the best of spaces, the best of places, but the level of commitment to the marriage will hopefully create an atmosphere and an environment for a recommitment to the relationship to establish. Now, we've said this countless times, there's a difference between your marriage and your relationship. So technically you're married on paper, you may live in the same home, you may pay bills, you may do life together, but there's no relationship within that marriage. And I believe that all those things can turn around. And so rather than being depressed and saddened about the fact that in this season, your husband doesn't want to have anything to do with you, I love the fact that you've made the decision to focus on yourself, because there was a time when Danielle didn't want to have anything to do with me. We were not in a good place, but it was my commitment to my healing process, because I began to remember that, you know what, I am the lowest common denominator in my relationship. And as I begin to work on me, things may change. See, I was doing all the right things to win her heart back, but guess what? She didn't like me. I could give her flowers, which she liked, but she didn't like the person who gave them to her. I could give her candy, which she liked, but she didn't like the person who gave them to her. I could compliment her, which she liked, but she didn't like the person who was offering the compliment. And so I realized that I could be doing all the right things and it still not work, because at the time I was not the right person. So as I began to work on me and internalize my focus, all of a sudden things began to shift in my relationship. So hopefully that gives you some hope and inspiration. Prince of Petty, is it true the ones who cheat back may have always wanted to cheat, as opposed to understanding the original cheater's weakness? No, that's not necessarily the case. Not at all. Matter of fact, he goes on to say, I offered my wife a hall pass. She didn't take it, to my knowledge. So for those of you who are not familiar with this term hall pass, a hall pass is when you allow your spouse to go out and cheat so that in their minds, hey, we've evened the score. That should help deal with your pain. If there's anything within you that wants to seek revenge, the hall pass allows a person to do so without any consequences. It's just like you get one opportunity to do what you do. We don't need to discuss it, and let's get back into the swing of things. Now, people who attempt to do that, or people who actually do that, realize that it wasn't a fix. It was not a cure-all. In fact, it made matters progressively worse, because this is not who I am. This this is not what I do. I sunk to a level because I was soaked and saturated in my own pain that I made a decision that worked against my best interest, and now I feel shame and regret and all types of things as a result of doing it. But it also causes pain and hurt in the other spouse, the one who initially cheated. They think, you know what, I did it to you, you did it to me, we'll be even, hopefully, but they don't realize the tremendous amount of pain that they will endure and how it can ultimately harm a relationship. But when a person does cheat outside of a hall pass, which is an agreement, there are some times when people just cheat because you did it to me, I'm gonna do it to you. Matter of fact, it's not an instant thing. Now check this out. There are people who will go through counseling. They will go through a recovery process. They will renew their vows. And years later, they'll cheat. Years later, which is a major blow to the marriage and to the spouse, because the spouse says, after all that we've done, after all the healing that's taken place, after all the sessions we've gone to, now you would do, we even renew our vows, now you would do something like this? It's because there were some wounds that were never healed. There are soul wounds that aren't always healed. And so this is why a comprehensive recovery process is necessary to get you to a better place. But when you don't have that, when you don't do that, it can be very damaging. A couple more comments. We have been down this road of leaving and staying throughout this roller coaster ride of recovery. We keep failing because the work is like kryptonite to my husband. Rebuilding to him, let's go on, feels like revisiting the past and reliving the pain he caused. How do we fix that perspective and be able to look at problems and fix them? I'm never combative or disrespectful. Please help. Yeah, this is a situation. It requires a mindset shift, because the fact of the matter is the only way forward is back. The only way into your future is by first going into your past. I give the example of a rubber band. The only way that you can get a rubber band to fly is that you've got to pull it back, and it makes a quantum leap forward. So you always have to go in the opposite direction that you want to go in. You got to go in the opposite direction in order to get there. And so the fact of the matter is, when we do talk about the past affair or past events, it does bring about pain. There is an aspect of reliving it. But that does not have to become your permanent address. It is a temporary process in order to get to a better place. And so the fact of the matter is, if you're truly going to do any type of recovery process, it's going to hurt. It's going to cause pain, because it's going to force you to engage in conversations and force you to do things that are not comfortable. This is why we say you got to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. And until you're ready to have courageous, difficult, challenging conversations, you will remain in the pit of your pain. Now, I'm going to tell you this. Would you rather live in the pain or experience a temporary pain in order to get to a place of healing? I'd rather experience a temporary season of more pain than the pain that I'm living in order to completely get out of it, as opposed to staying in the pain because we're disconnected, don't have a great relationship, there's no trust, there's no intimacy, there's no great communication, and we're just going along to get along, or we're in a sufferer marital pattern where things don't seem to be getting any better. And guess what? Think about the insecurity of one moment we're together, then the next moment we're not. And it's like different strokes for different folks, but different ways on different days. Today I love you, tomorrow I hate you. Today I want to be with you, tomorrow I don't. That level of instability creates insecurity. And so it requires doing the necessary work to get to a better place. And guess what? When you're doing the work, it's not going to feel good. It's going to be messy. As they say, it is messy in the middle. It's hard in the beginning, messy in the middle, and beautiful at the end. And if you understand that that is the sequence to things, that is the process to things, it'll help you to remain in a much better place. So hopefully that helps to give you some insight on what you need to do. Listen, we're just getting started, folks. We talked about the pros and cons of staying. Tomorrow, I want you to tune in because we're going to be talking about the pros and cons of straying. That's right. Those who decide to do it too. What are the consequences? What are the benefits, if there are any? How can we deal with this in a way that brings about healing? You've been watching the Couples Academy show. Thank you for tuning in. See you tomorrow for another great episode. Take care.